Hello, and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. Happy New Year, everybody! I'm back. I hope that all of you had an amazing holiday with your family, however you chose to celebrate, or if you didn't celebrate at all, hopefully you had some downtime to reflect on the past year. As we enter a new year, fingers crossed that it's not more of the same, even though it's kind of disheartening the way it's starting off with all of the pandemic related stuff. At any rate, I'm back today with another book review. And I have some stuff that I want to talk about after the book review, so make sure you stick around for some announcements. At the end of the year, like the last couple of weeks of the year, I was able to dive into and finish Will Smith's memoir, Will. I mean, obviously, there's so many people have read this book. So many reviews have been done. So many people have talked about it. And I will say that I am among the probably millions of people who also enjoyed his memoir immensely. The thing for me that I found so fulfilling about the book, I mean, obviously his transparency. I mean, if you are a person, a public figure or not, and you decide that you're going to write do an autobiography or a memoir, you have to be transparent, right? Because you're going to share the ups and downs, the highs and lows of your life, unless you're just doing a book about success. So, I mean, yeah, he was hella transparent, and that seems like it has kind of been like over maybe the last 5 years or so since, Will Smith has kind of gotten into social media, because before he was like an enigma, right? We heard all these rumors, we made all these assumptions, but you never heard anything coming directly from him. It's like he had this whole movie star, mysterious thing going on about him. And ever since he's been on social media, he seems like he's been sharing more of himself. And this book, he just opened himself wide open for the world, and anybody who decided to read the book. But the thing to me that I found, like I said, so fulfilling about it was that, and I felt this way about Michelle Obama's book too, even though he's a man, he's from Philadelphia, he's a megastar, there was just something so familiar about his story. Just maybe like his background, his upbringing, or maybe it's just that we share a lot of the same cultural identity or identifications, being from the same generation, and everything like that. But I could relate to so much of his story. And I know I've talked about this before, if not here on YouTube, my YouTube channel, definitely on my Instagram page. I am like, a child of the 80s. I was born in 1970. So like I was 10 in 1980 and 19 in 1989. So that was my coming of age decade. And that was the decade that hip hop music, rap music just exploded, and it really was being created and formed, this new genre. And so many of the people that were responsible for, being the architects of that type of music, they were my age. And and Will Smith was one of those people. His book, it really provides like somewhat of a history of hip hop and how, some of the grassroots and things that were going on and how that music came to be and how it got so incredibly popular. And I think that a lot of people, because he is such a big movie star, I think a lot of people either don't know or they forget the impact that he had on hip hop music and how he was one of the forefathers. He was there groundbreaking when all of that happened. I mean, him and Jazzy Jeff, they were the first rap group to get a Grammy. So, I had forgot that part of it. But anyway, the other thing, when people, again, do memoirs like this and they, give you such insight to their life, I think a couple of things happen. One of the biggest things is that now everybody knows the real deal And that can be good or bad because, people already think they have license to critique, judge, and comment on everything that celebrities do because they're public figures, right? But when you do a book like this, you really are inviting even more of that unsolicited commentary about your life and who you are. But for me, what I got from the book is that Will Smith is human, just like the rest of us. He is someone who had a passion or had a hobby or had a desire, just like all of us. We all have these things that kind of light a fire in us that we, wish could be, we maybe dream about it being something bigger or something more grandiose. And he, to a large degree worked very hard in the beginning, but there was a lot of luck involved. If you read his story, how the whole thing came about with, first of all, his tape getting to the radio station and then just being invited randomly to Quincy Jones's birthday party and getting the Fresh Prince out of that, but there's no way that he would still be here and still have the amount of success that he has if he wasn't working hard. So he's totally deserving of everything that he's gotten. But, he's also a human being. He suffered from a lot of fear being, raised in a home where his father was abusive and, seeing his father abuse his mother. So he had a lot of fear growing up in that environment. He had a lot of insecurities and kind of used humor as a way to, make everybody around him comfortable, thereby making himself comfortable and feeling like he could, some kind of way control the situation. And I mean, that's a lot of people's story in that, not necessarily the abusive parent part, but a lot of people have grown up with abusive parents, but just the insecurity and fear part in the, I want people to love me, accept me, and, how do I manage my anxiety in this situation? So he, just like a lot of people dealing with past trauma, and it's manifesting itself in his future relationships and things like that. So I really enjoyed the book. I actually even highlighted some stuff because, when you get to be our age, the 50 decade, and even younger than that, as you live, you learn. And if you don't, you're not doing it right. I mean, he shared so many gems about things that he learned in his life and, so, a different way too of thinking about things. I liked his perspective on a lot of things because so many of us unknowingly or, unconsciously, or maybe we're just like totally repressing, we are dealing with generational trauma that we don't talk about. And it, like I said, it doesn't even have to be something as deep or serious as, abuse or anything like that. But just the messaging that, and especially in the Black community, just the messaging that we maybe have gotten from our parents or our grandparents, and I think I talked about this in another video, how people kind of pass their fears and experiences down to you. They pass that down generation to generation. If you're someone who's saying, I want to go be an acrobat, and your grandfather is like, they wouldn't let me be an acrobat. You're never going to make it as an acrobat. And then you take that and internalize it, that you're not good enough, that you're not worthy, that it has to do with all these things. And you never even tried to be an acrobat. You're just going by what somebody told you. And even things like that seem as insignificant as that, it has the ability to damage your entire psyche and how you show up in the world, how you show up in relationships, how you parent. So it's a lot of that. And I think that initially he and his wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, I think they received a lot of criticism because from the outside in, with the way that they were rearing their children, and, people were calling their kids weird. And I think at one point Jaden had a dress on and this and that. And people were just like, oh my God, what are they doing? They're ruining those kids. But what they were doing was letting those kids be themselves and not pushing their desires and their wishes upon them, because ultimately that's going to be Willow and Jaden's life. That, you bring kids into this world, and I can say this as a parent, And obviously, you as a parent, you have these things in mind. It would be wonderful if my son was, a doctor, if my daughter was a lawyer, or all these things that's going to make you as a parent look glorified because you raised a doctor, you raised a lawyer. Meanwhile, this person, your kid wants to go be a circus clown. And if that's what they want to do and they're not hurting anybody and they're happy, as a parent, your job is just really to support them in that endeavor. And I just don't think a lot of people are ready for those kind of conversations because so many people are still so imprisoned by what society and other people think. And this, I saw Will Smith I think he was on an interview with Trevor Noah, and it was kind of like he said he wrote this book, he told everything because he wanted to be free. When you're like pretending to be something you're not, when you're trying to keep things quiet, when you're trying to keep secrets, that could be a lot, especially if you're in the public eye, because people are constantly digging and trying to unearth and discover and expose and all that. But when you put it all out there, okay, yeah, so I did that. Now what? What can people say? So yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And I love that he shared, I always love, I love photographs. I really think that they just in itself, just looking at a photograph, there's just so much history and you could tell a story, with photographs. And he shared some personal family photos. That's like his mom and dad. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I loved looking at all the photos. And I found myself as I was reading, like flipping back to the picture to see the photo that maybe accompanied the story he was telling. And so here's one of the quotes that I underlined. One of the things that I thought was, like kind of like yes, or an aha moment in the book. And he talked about just living life and learning lessons and things like that. And it says, living is a journey from not knowing to knowing, from not understanding to understanding, from confusion to clarity. By universal design, you are born into a perplexing situation, bewildered, and you have one job as a human being, and that's to figure shit out. I mean, that's really it. But a lot of times we don't grant ourselves grace. The people around us don't grant us grace to become who we're meant to be. And I feel like not until you're much older, it's kind of like a joke. People talk about like older people, like not really giving a shit and saying whatever they want to say and doing whatever they want to do. And they get a pass for that. And people like, will say, oh, she's old. Like she talks crazy, or let her say what she's going to say. It's like you don't get that freedom to do what you want to do or say what you want to say until you get to a certain age. And I'm like, whatever, I'll take it. That's the kind of old lady I hope to be, I aspire to be. It says we're all waiting to have deep knowledge, wisdom, and a sense of certainty before we venture forth. But we have it backwards. Venturing forth is how we gain our knowledge. So even if, you go forward and you don't have all the experience, all the understanding, all the knowledge, you're going to gain that along the way by making mistakes. That's how you learn and grow. So yeah, and the last thing I underlined, it says the universe only teaches through experience. So yeah, I thought it was a really good book. And there was one thing that I have to agree with him with 1,000%. Like I said, I grew up in the era when like this music was being formed and created. And he's saying, it's not that he has fairy tale wistful memories of a fairy tale adolescence. No, what I'm saying is objectively and factually true. The late 1980s was the greatest time in hip hop history. Period. Full stop. Amen. And I have to agree. That it doesn't get any better than that. I don't think it ever will get any better than that as far as that particular genre of music. I also feel the same about 80s pop being the pinnacle and 90s R&B being the pinnacle. I know that, like, he's saying, there's some science behind the nostalgia, and that's the music that I grew up on. But like objectively, I listen to all kinds of music, and the music from those eras and those genres just it just music today is just not the same. And that's all I got to say about that. So anyway, if you have not checked out Will Smith's memoir, you should definitely do your favor and check it out. And it is 411 pages, so it's not, something that you're going to devour in one sitting. And maybe you can if you're someone who, reads like that. It took me a few days. I mean, because it was like after the holidays, and I didn't have a whole lot going on. But I just kind of paced myself because I wanted to devour it and, ruminate on some of the things that he was talking about. But it was a really good book. And it's pretty clever how he ended it. I mean, because obviously his life isn't over, so he can't end it and be like, okay, and then I died or whatever. Like, but it's ironic that maybe he thought he was gonna die the way that he ended it. So yeah, check out Will if you haven't already. And I have a couple of notes here. I have a couple of things that I wanted to share with you guys. Number one, my latest release, You Had Me Fooled, will be released finally later this month on January 25th. I will be doing quite a few virtual events that I will be sharing next week, and I may do a special video to let you guys know about that. But I hope that you can join, because I will be doing like something on YouTube to commemorate, the release as well. And the other thing I wanted to let you guys know, because I am making the broad assumption that many of you are following me because you love books, you love reading and things like that. On Instagram, I'm on Instagram at Tracy Momie, all one word, my name, TraCieMomie, and I'll put it here somewhere on the screen. I am co-hosting a photo book challenge this month with the lovely Sodre Writes, at Sodre Writes on Instagram as well. I'll tag her and put her in here as well. But we used to do, like, it was many moons ago, I want to say 5+ years ago, maybe, we would do these challenges on Instagram, and our thing was We Are Booked. So it was the hashtag We Are Booked photo challenge, and we would have these daily prompts, and then you would just share a book that fit that prompt for the day. So I'm going to share the information like when this video goes off, but also go to my Instagram page so that you can follow along. And like, for example, the first day of the year, the prompt was book hangover. So we were asking people to share books that, they felt like they had a hangover after reading the book, or something that left them reeling or had dizzying effects or something like that. Yesterday was best, or not even best, but just a book to movie adaptation. So things like that. It's just different prompts every day. But the thing that makes this particular photo challenge different, for this particular block of time, we're doing it from January 1st to January 25th to culminate with my book release. But we're doing different genres just all over the place, but we're amplifying Black voices. So we want to share books by Black authors or other people of color, so that people can kind of see that, Black authors aren't just writing in one particular lane. I mean, they're doing science fiction, we're doing romance, we're doing mystery, we're doing horror, we're doing self-help. I mean, just like other authors, like we are just a myriad of genres and stories that we're telling. So we're hoping that people can share books that will, spark conversations, and that maybe you can add to your ever-growing TBR list. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have read Will Smith's memoir, I would love to know what you thought about it. So leave me a comment. Make sure that you like this video, and it's a new year. Do yourself a favor, subscribe to some YouTube channels that make you feel good, that provide information and entertainment. Tracy Momie Reads can do that for you. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. And again, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Tracy Momie Reads, so that you can participate in the We Are Booked photo challenge, and you can be kept up to date on what's going to be happening with my new release. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.